Yeah. Yeah, it's the lighting in it. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So like anyway, I'm going to do a quick. I just want to add a note real quick about the Duran thing and the thing about the SNAP food benefits, the Lone Star card, and all the information about the. I'd mentioned that one particular laughter in the beginning of the song. Hungry Like the Wolf is like in my room behind my mirror, and in between the sheetrock, I was about ready to take the sheetrock off just to look at it back in I think it's like 1989 or something. But I wanted to clarify something about that because I mentioned some information in combination with like Notre Dame, and with all this information, I kind of mentioned Purdue by mistake, but what it is it's the DU of Duran, the DU, okay, the doo-doo. Yeah, so like anyway, yeah, so like anyway, it's almost like in combination with like a song of like the Eagles Long Run in combination with like Sarbanes-Oxley Financial Instruments of SOX Compliance, and it's like an Eagles Long Run song of like SOX Compliance and a whole bunch of information and between the Chicago White Sox and the Boston Red Sox and now it seemed to be the thing about Duran in the way of like the long run with Duran and the long run being like Duran and all this information on supplemental security income. I mean, all of it. I mean, what I had listened and practiced to as a drummer, even singing like these songs like way back in the 80s. Some of them like, in the mid to like late 60s. And Trump, saying, hey, make America great again. It had really ultimately kind of like originated with information leading back to like 1972 and alphanumerics of 72 and categorization of money being, alphanumerics of 72 or like COVID 19, okay, is what the deal is. But anyway, it seemed to be like the thing about Duran sings that song and my thing about why one James Bond movie is not about the Bond, okay. And the thing with this is that all the information with like Barbara Walters and Hugh Downs, and Barbara Walters then getting into The View, her own television series, and the alphanumerics 59 and Hollywood 59 being like 140 in Pearland, Texas, alphanumerics and like attenuation and all that information. I just kind of like want to kind of clarify that I had mentioned Purdue when in fact it may have been simply thinking about the Duran thing about Sarbanes-Oxley Financial Instruments and SOX Compliance, and just kind of like threw in Purdue. Not really what I really intended to do, but it may have been something I was thinking about involving Purdue as compared to the Duran. Yeah, so like yeah, so it seemed to be the alphanumerics of like DU being alphanumerics of 25 or Y, and the Duran thing about what SOX compliance is as compared to I won't think about the Purdue thing, but it seemed to be the Eagles song Long Run combined with the Sarbanes-Oxley financial instruments and SOX compliance and all that color code between Chicago and Boston and all that information. But it seemed to be likewise that that why one James Bond movie is not about the Bond. It seemed to be the Fort Stock, Texas area about it seemed to be the alphanumerics of 200 and James and all unit and ultimately linking back all the way back to 76 during the Richard Nixon and a combine, which seemed to be an association of like Pace Pecani hot sauce, Pape concerts, and ultimately Cape Canaveral. Ultimately, even summit meetings, representing some idea of the plateau. Or think about Robert Half. I never really here recently. I just now kind of like thought about Robert Half. What a summit is to a plateau, what a plateau is to a summit, or what's identified in the Fort Stockton, Texas area, in the Ector, Pecos County area. Seem to be the thing about Permian Basin, almost representative of like a footprint on a birth certificate in the Bureau of Vital Statistics, and in the Permian Basin, almost representative based upon platform as a plateau. Or my thing it seemed to be the Qatar airline, the Emirates airline, and Boeing in Fort Stockton, Texas. And it seemed to be, something about line 6, okay, line 6, okay. 6 spelled out SIX, combined alphanumerically is like 92, okay, and like I'm a drummer, yeah, alright. Line 6 is B series is like, I mean, you know, to me it's like it, with the best options and sound effects and everything. And that seemed to be the thing about in my mind about Line 6 B series and Seventh Heaven. And a conversion, which seemed to be, you know, the thing about Ibanez S series, and even the thing about Kobe ID 19 being the thing about the letter S, and Ector and Sector guitar and guitar airline, some idea in my mind. It seemed to be a conversion between, you know, analog to digital, or, you know, separation between church and state, and how Ibanez S series is the next guitar I had. I'd mentioned something about the, you know, the Sector Hellraiser guitar in the Apocalypse, and really it was about the Sustainiac, the battery powered effect, and, you know, the availability at the time, and it seemed to be really an issue of programming and networking, making only what availability only meant during that time that I actually purchased like an Apocalypse and the Red Rain thing. I don't have any more, but I'd mentioned something about the Hellraiser, okay? And in any case, okay, I just want to clear that up real quick, because it seemed to be that Line 6 is like my automatic perception of some involvement in that area over just Ector and Sector, the Sector guitar and guitar airline, or the Ector, you know, and the thing about Pecos and Pace Picani, and Pace concerts in a Summit, as well as, you know, Cape Canaveral, being the deal about, you know, the launch inside of, you know, the spaceship shuttle, you know, NASA, Cape Canaveral, and the Cape and the Pace, and, you know, all that information that's linked to Lyndon B. Johnson in Clear Lake, Texas, and the, you know, Alphanumerics of 137, the Holy Seagull, and the color code, and even the book Secrets of the Temple, How the Federal Reserve Runs the Country. It continually, you know, identifies, you know, the thing about De Beers diamonds, mining raw diamonds in South Africa, okay, and once again, South Africa is the information, okay. I'd mentioned in the beginning, like Egypt in the Persian Gulf area around the Sahara, and really, I mean, really all the information of South Africa might only be Johannesburg in the way of the Alphanumerics. So I think it's 137 in Washington, D.C., connecting the Alphanumerics of South Africa. I think it's Johannesburg that's 137 in South Africa, and I think that's probably the only thing of connectivity connecting, you know, based upon the description of De Beers diamonds being a European German mining for raw diamonds, and it seems that ultimately gets the, you know, the color code of like Chevrolet Geoprism, and then ultimately spelled with a Z. Geoprism is Geoprism, Alphanumerics is 247, and the thing about, you know, my idea of like a code blue and the 100 Club in a way of like the Alphanumerics is 247, and the United States Secretary of Treasury, Robert E. Rubin, and all that information I'm talking about on my channel at WadeArianSVPriddy, P-R-D-D-Y, at YouTube.com, and now WadeArianSVPriddy, okay, at YouTube.com. There's like issues going on with like technical, yeah, and I really don't like subscribing to my own channels, but there's like a pair of technical difficulties, and I'm actually trying to get it all on one and keep one, or maybe distinguish the difference between WadeArianSVPriddy and then Wade now, what's going on with WadeArianSVPriddy, P-R-D-Y at YouTube.com. But anyway, yeah, so like I'm doing this outside. It's really the only one I've done outside, but I wanted to do that real quick because I actually waited on a delivery. I normally sit out here until they get here, but anyway, I want to kind of put that in there because it seems to be that that Duran song is like automatically the Eagles' Long Run song, involving what I see in my mind of like Sarbanes-Oxley, financial instruments and SOX compliance. At the same time, in between like the ERISA statute and the IRA, you know, there's like a remainder of the S and the E, or, you know, vision or yes, compared to language as compared to, you know, the English and Spanish saying of, you know, pronunciation between like the yes and the vision. Yeah, so like in any case, so like it seemed to be the thing about that fact about yeah, but anyway, ultimately getting to the Univision pastel colors and all that. Yeah, so I'm kind of running low on the battery right now, and I'm thinking I'm going to just leave it at that right now. I'm going to power up and wait a little later, but I want to include that about the Duran, and the thing about YYZ in my mind, the doo-doo and the sanitation, yeah, ultimately, you know, the sanitation and the thing about the noises of love and all that good stuff about Yeah. So like it ultimately gets to even the Mountain Dew do the do. So I'm doing the Duran the thing about what seemed to be Eagles long run song combined with that Sarbanes-Oxley financial instruments SOX compliance, and I'm thinking about something about Duran Hungry Like a Wolf and SNAP food benefits and the EBT and Lone Star card, and something in my mind about Barbara Walters and 2000 in 2020, and her later, Barbara Walters in the View in the 59 thing about everything I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it right at that right now. Okay, talk to you later.